Hi there, everybody. My name is Gabe, and I live with Kirk and Bridget and Patrick at our community in Sedona. And I just wanted to today share a few experiences that I had recently in Dreamtime with the hybrids. There's a few reasons why I'm making this video, and I think the primary reason is just for me, the big lesson that has been coming down the pipe recently has been really opening the throat chakra and being very transparent with experiences that I've had and that we've all had. Because I've had so many contact experiences in the past year, and I really haven't shared too many of them with anyone, so I'm just taking this opportunity to share these with you. So the first one that I'll share happened, well, these actually happened both in the same night. And the first one was a contact experience that I had where I was laying in a bed and I felt a little hand touch my hand. And in my experience, whenever I come in contact with a hybrid or any sort of ET, as the moment that they're in my field, I immediately become lucid. So I felt this hand, and I immediately was woken in the dream, and I realized that I was in a room, and I was laying on this bed, and sort of parallel to the bed was my mom, who was also laying in a different bed. And I looked over to my right and I saw that there was this little pale, really pale, probably 6 or 7 year old child who was completely bald, and I couldn't tell if he was wearing clothes or not. Generally, the ETs, they have this sort of second skin that they wear as their garment, and it's very tight and it's very translucent. So sometimes they look like they're naked, but they actually have this like suit on that's a part of their consciousness. So anyway, he grabbed my hand and he said it's time to go, it's time to go. And immediately, without even really questioning it, I just said, okay, let's go to the ship. This is really significant to me because this directly correlates to the meditation that we did in the last workshop that Kirk led, where we went on board the Essassani ship. So he was still holding my hand and he said, okay, now visualize our ship in a forest, similar to the one that I'm in right now, and visualize our ship hovering above the trees. And so I could see this all in my third eye, and he said, now put yourself in that environment and hear the sounds and smell the trees and smell the leaves and really immerse yourself in that environment. So I put myself there, and I could see this all in my third eye. And he said, okay, now enter our ship. And if any of you guys remember what it's like to sort of get beamed up, so to speak, and or even if you've bilocated in these higher realms, it kind of feels like your molecules are being stretched through this portal or funnel of time and space. And at first it can be kind of an uncomfortable experience, but this has happened to me so many times that I kind of just instinctively know what to do now. So I started to do that, and so I was closing my eyes, I saw myself in the environment, and then I started to feel that feeling of being lifted, and my molecules being stretched, and I was just in their ship. I came up through the floor, just like in the meditation, on this sort of elevator, and I was in the ship. And so now at this point, I was in this room. It was a circular room, and it was probably 10 by 12, something like that. And there was this one female hybrid who I can't really identify by name, but I know that Bridget has drawn her. And I'm almost inclined to say that it's Raven because from what I remember, she had really long black hair. And the whole entire room had this this kind of mist-like substance. The first one greeted me, and there was this girl with long hair, and she kind of hugged me, and then she moved out of the way. And then the next two that greeted me were these two very Zeta-looking beings that were, one was on my left and one was on my right, and they were wearing these purple gowns with these purple beaded crystal necklaces, and they also kind of had these what kind of looked like chemistry goggles, and they were see-through, and they were like really stylish. It was kind of like a combination of like the glasses that they wear in the Matrix and chemistry goggles. So that was kind of cool. And they went over and they hugged me, and at this point I kind of found it interesting because it was a very loving experience as usual, but the tone or the energy behind these Zetas when they hugged me was like they were really relieved that I was there. Like perhaps there was only this certain window of time that we were able to meet, and it was a very significant meeting, so they were relieved that I was able to make it. After they greeted me, this being who was roughly my age, and she had darker skin and she had curly hair, she was the last one to greet me. And once again, she was kind of wearing what these Zetas were wearing, except for instead of a robe, it was more of this tight second skin suit thing that was purple, and she also had these high vibratory crystal necklaces on. And this was very significant because this was not the first time that I've seen this being. The first time that I saw her was a dream that I had probably over a year ago, and the dream was that she was in my kitchen, and she had all these beings around her, and they were all wearing similar clothes. And she said, this was very, very vivid and very specific. She said, "I'm here for you," and all of them, meaning all of the beings that she was with in my kitchen, were here for her. And then as soon as she said that, I just woke up. And then the second time that I saw her was this experience that I had where I was in this house by myself, and she was standing on top of a staircase, and I walked over to her, and I remember her almost looking very sad, and I went over to her and I asked her what was wrong, and she kind of just shrugged and looked at me really, really intensely, and we were staring at each other for a very long time. And I was lucid, and as I was staring at her, I remember saying, "Oh, it's you," and then the dream started to fade. So here she was again in the ship, and she said to me, "I'm one of your best friends, you just don't remember." And she brought me out of this room, up these stairs, and we were kind of navigating around the this environment, the ship. And I remember I kept on asking her telepathically all these questions, and she was kind of short with me. She just kept on not responding, and then she just kept on saying, "This way, this way, this way," every time we would kind of go into a different corridor of the ship. And then she brought me into this room, and the room opened up, and the dream seemed to shift from being on a ship to being in this very college-like cafeteria where all of these humans were setting up and preparing food. And she kind of looked at me, and then she was checking off these things on what appeared to be this clipboard. And this is very significant, and I think that this is really important to bring up because it gives validity to the idea that when you're in Dreamtime and you're in an environment where you're in a classroom or a college cafeteria or a college campus, or you're taking tests, you're on board a ship, and you're experiencing screen memory because for whatever reason, you might not be ready to intake that much information or that much contact, So it seemed really significant because I went from having no screen memory at all. I knew fully that I was on a ship and I was fully conscious and I was really excited, and to kind of slipping into screen memory. Then the dream started to fade, and I fell out of the dream, and I immediately went back into Dreamtime. And this starts on another dream that is also equally significant. It wasn't a contact experience, but the dream started where I was in a car, and these obsolete beliefs of attachment and dependency for me have been coming up a lot. And so in this dream, I was sitting in a car with all of these people that I've met in my life that I've had unhealthy attachments to, and I was making peace with that. And as I was making peace with that, I realized that I was dreaming, and I realized that I was interacting with my subconscious. I was interacting with all these subconscious fears that manifested as people that have been in my life. And as I became lucid, and as this was all happening, I became very, very grounded into the dream. More grounded than I think I've ever been in any lucid experience. And the reason why this happened is because I didn't try to resist what was going on in the dream, and I didn't try to locate anywhere else in the template reality. And quite often I will wake up in the dream, and then I'll say, I want to go visit this person, or I want to go have an experience like that. And so I'll become lucid and grounded in the dream, but I'll immediately shift realities. And so I didn't do that this time, and this was really significant because it allowed me to just go with wherever the dream was taking me. So here I am in this car, fully lucid, and I'm actually experiencing, we're driving down the freeway, and I'm actually experiencing this dream very linearly. There was no shifting, there was no time jumps. And we're going, and I'm just talking to all these parts of my subconscious and just freeing myself from the illusion of attachment in this dream, essentially. And we arrive at my friend's house in the dream, and I get out of the car, we all get out of the car, and there's this party going on in their front yard. And all of these other good friends of mine in this reality are coming up to me, and they're introducing themselves as me. So it was just great because it was my subconscious. It was me playing with my subconscious, and my subconscious playing with me and introducing themselves as me. And I was just seeing, my projections of my friends. I got incredibly confused as to how I got to this place, because I didn't realize that I was in Dreamtime. I thought somehow I had gone to sleep and then forgot that I woke up back into waking life and went to this party. I just completely lost sight of that. I had no idea how I got there, and what I realized is then I started to question it, and I started to speak with a projection of my subconscious, and I was saying, can you explain to me how I got here? Because a moment ago I remember that I was sleeping, but somehow I slipped out of dream time into this waking reality, and I have no recollection, and I kind of just was I was just speculating how this could possibly happen. That at one moment I was in a dream, and then one moment I was in a waking reality. I I completely lost sight of it all, and it was amazing. It was amazing that that could happen. And then, so once I started questioning it, the dream faded, and this kind of goes back to something that Kirk was saying during our last workshop um, about about totally removing any speculation or any thought of how this is possible, because that actually starts to take you out of the dream, and that's what happened. The dream started to fade, and I started to wake up. So I woke up with this download, and the download really enforced the fact that this reality is just a dream, and there's no separation between the waking state and the dream state. It was just simply saying that when the dream becomes too real, you have to remember it's just a dream, and what you truly are is just the one observing the dream. And the other part to that was, when the dream becomes too unbelievable, you have to also remind yourself that every dream is in fact a reality. So that's it. I just wanted to share those experiences with you guys. Perhaps if I'm called to, I'll make more videos of my experiences with contact and the hybrids. So I love you guys. Take care.